Good evening. 4 more inventions for you tonight from all over Australia. We'll look at a car boat loader, a lock to immobilize a trailer, a sofa that converts into a bed, and a new method of riveting. Any of the inventions that appear on the series are eligible to appear on the final program this year, where we're going to choose the inventor for 1978. He'll receive a cheque for $3,000 from the Rural Bank and perhaps even win one of the specialist prizes that we have. Industrial innovation developers will fly the winner across to Geneva to our stand at the International Exhibition of Inventions. Our first invention tonight is eligible for the Real Estate Institute Recreation Prize. The aluminium boat, still buoyant in water, is pulled onto a cradle. Suction caps grip the stern. Holding the bow, the boat rotates on an A-frame, mounted on the tow bar. The bow rests on the roof rack. To launch the boat, the reverse procedure is carried out. A one-man job with very little effort required. Eric Webb comes from Sydney. I want one, Eric. It's a tremendous idea.
I haven't one with me at the moment.
What a shame.
I'll bring one next time.
What a pity. What do people think of it? I mean, it looks good.
It's been well received at the boating ramps by people that have seen it.
Yeah,
the only people that haven't liked it are the trailer manufacturers, actually.
Oh, well, then maybe they're going to have to put up with it. What made you think of it in the first place?
In a conversation with, some people at one stage, there was an old chap there about 70, and he was asked if he fished, and he said no, he couldn't handle the boat anymore, you see. And I started to think about this, of why can't a retired man sort of continue his sports, and that developed from it.
Yeah. Sounds like you've just described Vic Nicholson. What do you think of it, Vic?
Being an old bloke of 70, I feel for this fellow.
Poor dear.
Eric, I'm rather interested in a number of things. One, I do think that you have evolved something that's highly desirable. You mentioned that it would cost less, I imagine that's what you meant, than a conventional boat trailer.
It would, yes.
But there are a number of other advantages, aren't there? For example, when you reverse down the ramp, the very action of lowering your device creates a launch pad, if you like, for the boat to go into the water.
There's no manual effort needed on that part of it.
Right. So there's an advantage, and it's not so much manual effort, but one of the problems with trailers is that they can tend to rust up after a while of immersion, which you generally have to do. This one solves that. It costs less. Very interesting. But I don't think it's just for people of 70.
Oh, no, I have in mind
I think that even a young one like you could cope with it.
Yes, I think you and I together might have fun in it too. Eric, good evening.
How are you?
I don't think that it will fit on any car, thinking of mine and various station wagons who have square backs.
No, station wagons, no.
No good. No. So we can't go off with the kids and the dog and the water skis and everything. No, it's got to go on a car that has a sloping back.
That's right, with a boot.
And it rests at that angle. It doesn't go up onto the top of the car.
No, it does not go up.
So it is something that a woman could do quite easily, swing it around.
Yes, I've tried it out.
The one thing that made me laugh was I'd probably give it a great big shove and then think, oh!
Which is not necessary, no.
Yes, but I mean, it would go with, unless you had a string attached to it, it would bye-bye.
Oh, when you're launching it...
You'd lose it.
Yes, well, you use the rope that you tie the bow down to the car with.
You must attach it somewhere.
To the stern of the boat.
Right. And, though I think it's a very good idea, I have just a couple of criticisms. If you've got it there and you're driving along, you've no rear vision.
Yes, you have. You can see underneath the boat.
You can.
Up to about 15 metres.
So it's enough to see what's coming.
That's right. And also you can see the boat while you're travelling and see that it's quite safe and sound in its position.
If you don't see the boat, you know something's wrong.
Someone fixed it. The other thing is weight would matter. Fiberglass, steel or wood, but only up to about, what, 12 feet?
Any boat up to 12 feet, yes.
And, of course, the very good thing is no registration, because a trailer has to have registration and tail lights.
And no space for trailer parking.
And no parking. Right. And nobody's going to pinch your trailer. So on all those accounts,
right.
It's a terrific idea. Neville, what do you think?
Well, Diana, you amaze me. For a person who ties a piece of string around a boat, you know a hell of a lot about boating. Congratulations, Eric.
I go on other people's.
Really. Two problems associated with getting a boat on top of a roof ramp, of course, are the weight of the boat and the shape of the boat. It normally needs two people. But it seems to me with this invention of yours, you could probably lift a boat of 140 pounds.
That's right. That's what average they weigh at 12 feet.
Yes. There's no great problem about scratching the car.
It
It
doesn't
seems to-
touch the car at
No.
all, anywhere at all. Really.
One just slight reservation I have, moving through the countryside with a boat in that position on the back of a car,
Wind resistance.
would it
The
tend
wind,
to get
yes.
the wind and blow off?
There's less resistance that way than with the boat turned over on its back.
Is that right?
Because a boat riding upside down, the wind gets under it and hits the back of the boat, which gives you great wind resistance. This way the air flows round the boat completely.
Does your A-frame fit any car with a sloping roof, or has it got to be adjusted to be made larger?
No, there is adjustments being in the A-frame and also the cradle that will just mean you can adjust it to any car or any boat.
Eric, two little things. One, I don't really see that your weight limit is the absolute limit. I think it rather depends on the nature of your frame. You're considering more the effort of turning it.
This is correct, yeah.
But I think that a lot of people would be able to cope with a ski boat if they were out together.
It depends upon the person's strength.
So
you see,
I wouldn't
but
limit
I'm-
your market just to
Oh,
the-
no, I hope to put small sailing boats on
Right.
that too,
Well,
Could
the
you
other-
where
put,
mothers could take
bicycles or
their
Yes,
daughters
you could,
and
right.
sons down to the water and they can operate
Right.
the thing, but
But how much?
the boys... Oh, between $130, $150.
Well, that's
at
a lot
this
cheaper
stage.
than a trolley.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Depends on quantity, but there should be quite a large amount needed
super
because
idea.
there are
Eric,
so many of these boats.
Yeah, you'd like somebody to help you manufacture and market.
Yes, I haven't done very much about that side of it at the moment, and
Just talk to Vic Nicholson, he knows something about marketing.
I would like to get someone interested.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it in action this
Well, I
season.
tell you what, looks a great idea, Eric. Thanks very much for bringing it in and showing it to us.
Good. Very nice to meet you.
And if you have an invention, why don't you write and tell us about it? What we need is a full description and a photograph of your invention. You never know, you might end up sitting next to me here on this programme. What's probably worse, he's looking at the panel, but never mind. Our next invention comes from Melbourne and is eligible for the McEwen's Handyman Prize. The tow bar is uncoupled from the car and lowered to the ground. A key is inserted in a lock at the rear of the trailer, which allows a restraining bar to fall to the ground. This bar can lock in any position. With the restraining bar in contact with the ground, the front of the trailer cannot be raised and therefore the trailer cannot be stolen. Removal of the key automatically locks the bar. As well as the trailer, this lock can be used for boat trailers, horse floats and caravans. Once the restraining bar is in place, the tow bar cannot be lifted. Stuart Nevitt comes from Melbourne, and he's an export executive. We're very much outdoors tonight, aren't we?
Certainly.
That, I think, is a great idea as well. I'm expressing my personal opinion because I don't often get a chance with this panel. But I take it, what, you invented this, what, to prevent things being stolen? That was, I suppose, the prime object.
Well, certainly, yes. It's primarily an anti-theft device as such. I believe if anybody really wants to steal something, then
Well,
they're
sure.
going to
Yes.
put their energies to work and do just that.
Do you think you could steal it, Diana?
Well, I was looking at it and I was thinking it looked a little bit flimsy. And I was going to say, what is it made of? Because one damn good shove and maybe you would snap it off. And as you say, if you're going to steal it, you're going to knock it with a hammer. Or would that break it or not?
Well, they'd tend to jam it.
Jam
It'd
it.
defeat the purpose. It'd make a lot of noise. And when you make a lot of noise, then people are attracted. And, of course, that's not what thieves would like.
No, taking it very seriously. Height and length varies on caravans, trailers, horse floats.
Correct.
Is it adaptable or do you have to buy several?
Well, it would be put together in such a manner that for original equipment, it would be fitted per length, per unit.
Right.
If it was for established equipment, then at the time of fitting, it could be modified to the requisite length.
However you want it, front
Correct.
or back, because whichever way you
Right.
were going or you wanted to lock it. How does it work, Professor?
Well, I happen to have here
Oh, you just
a
happened.
diagram. Yes, one of the intriguing features about this invention is the release mechanism. And I guess when the trailer is unattached from the tow bar, the key is turned, the shoe drops down, it hits the ground, then you turn the key back and it's locked into position.
Correct.
Now, as you can see here, there is an external housing, but the shoe is hinged via this piece of metal onto that black part there, which has teeth in it. And then in the middle here, there is also another attachment which has teeth in it, and it is turned with this key. Now, of course, when these two sets of teeth are locked, then it's in a locked position. And you can do this by turning here so that... I'm not doing a very good job of this. The teeth on the edges
lock into the
of
other
this,
teeth.
yes, lock into the teeth which are on the sides of the housing frame there.
Yes.
So when it's turned around,
You
so
can't
that these
move it
teeth
at
come
all.
against the sides, it can't move. But when you move it through 45 degrees, or is it 90 degrees, then these become parallel to the corners there, and the whole thing slides up and down.
Does that have to be at 90 degrees that
no.
way all the time?
No, it would depend on the level of the land below the back end of the trailer.
And you really can't move it?
No.
What's it made of?
Well, we have one prototype. There's only one in existence at the moment. It's made of mild steel.
Yes. And so you've really got 3 channels, haven't you? You've got...
The housing.
The housing, and then within it you've got a square tube section, and within that you've got your... what would you call it? It's a bar which has been given corners which are...
There.
Yeah, right. Now, I can see how it works, and I can see that it locks both up and it locks down, right, at any point down. Is that right? So that if you're on an incline or whatever, you can adjust it to that degree.
Right.
Just immediately the key turned. I'm sure it's going to stop people from stealing to some degree, but what is the cost of saving your insurance company money?
Well,
Yes.
as far as the actual saving in terms of how much the item costs, this will depend very much on the numbers that are produced. But we're looking at somewhere around $30 to $40 and
Just for one?
for one.
Well, that's a matter of protecting not just the trailer, but what's on it.
Yes,
Yes.
essentially it's for boats.
Yes.
Do you only need one of those? You don't need one each side?
Just one.
That's enough?
That's enough.
And you could fit it forward or back.
Gee.
Correct.
It's a good idea, isn't it, Vic? I wouldn't really know how many trailers or how
You
many
would.
trailable vehicles there are registered these days, but if you could fit them...
Well, it's in tens of thousands.
You would
Jeff,
have a big
in
market,
most
wouldn't
of
you?
the categories you'd be
Yeah.
interested in.
Stuart, I think you're onto a good idea, don't you?
Well, I hope so.
Will you market it yourself?
Oh, no, not necessarily. I
Yeah.
don't think I would. I'm just open to any
Well,
interest by people.
let's hope they're all watching and they get onto you and it's on the market before too long. Stuart, thanks very much indeed for bringing
Thank
it in. And now, let's take a look at the world of tomorrow. This is Fred. Fred is a fully automatic computer-controlled unit capable of broadcasting 2,500 pre-recorded magnetic tapes.
Adding calorie and perming. Topsy's
Even the announcer can be pre-recorded, and Fred can put the radio station on air at a predetermined time when there's no one at all in the studio. At 4IP in Brisbane, Fred Curack, to give him his full name, works hand in hand with the announcers. Just a press of a button, and Fred loads, plays, and stores cartridges, giving the announcer time to sit back, have a cup of coffee, or a chat on the phone. You know, I was looking at that film and just thinking that day may dawn when we can actually replace the panel. Just do it technologically.
Never.
Never mind. Going back to something quite different, we've received lots and lots of letters from a great number of people, particularly youngsters, with ideas that they've had, from things like a robotic mouse exterminator to stone deflectors to stop windscreens being broken. Well, thanks very much for those great ideas, and we hope to take a look at some of those later in the course of the series. If you'd like to write to us, this is the address to do it. It's to the Inventors, ABC Box 487, GPO Sydney 2001. That's also the address to write to if you'd like to know anything about some of the inventions you've seen here, or if you'd like more details of the exhibition in Geneva at the end of the year. Perhaps you'd like to exhibit over there in Geneva. Well, if you'd like to, we can help you organise that, so drop us a line. This next invention will make the most of a small room and yet be a sofa or a bed as required. This sofa can be quickly converted to a full-sized single or double bed. Being a two-seater couch, it fits easily into a small unit. The cushions are 5-inch foam and go to make up the mattress. The back is hinged, and as it is dropped, legs with shepherd casters drop down. The base is a strong wooden box, which can be used for storage. In this case, an additional cushion and an overlay form the completed mattress. When all the cushions are in place, they're held together with an overlay. And next morning, it only takes just a few minutes to put it back as a sofa. Tom Pringle comes from Melbourne. You've called it a bofa sofa. Now, why have you called it a bofa
Well, it's
sofa?
a combination of bed and sofa.
Oh, I see. I'm not very bright tonight, am I? All right, fair enough. Why did you invent this? I mean, there are lots of fold-up beds, aren't
Yes,
there?
well, our spare room's fairly small, and we wanted to use it as a second living room, as well as put up married children or people.
Yes.
And most of the convertibles were either too large or too immobile. They couldn't be moved around easily.
Sounds to me like a
So
great idea.
I got around to this.
Yeah. Well, I know for a fact Diana slept in some very strange places over the years.
I have too. Good evening, Tom. I've even been in those that shut up in the wall, you know, be careful someone doesn't pull the plug and you go up with it. And also the ones that pull out of the sofa from the seat. But yours is a rare jigsaw puzzle, isn't it? You take the cushions and you can make it into a nice single bed
Yes,
or a 4'6" double bed.
yes. 5-inch thick mattress.
So it's good and comfortable. But when you turn over, you aren't going to get the cushions sort of rolling off and leaving you sort of hanging down one end or anything.
The base is all upholstered, and that holds the cushions in place.
Right.
And there's also an overlay with elastics on the corner.
So it's not going to disintegrate in the
No.
middle of the
No,
night?
it doesn't.
Does it have casters? You said it could move around
Yes,
easily.
all round.
So it's a very good piece of furniture for a small flat or people who have small living areas. I applaud it, absolutely. I think they're wonderful things to have, and I like yours ideas of being adaptable and versatile. Gentlemen?
Sure.
Well, you could call it a Blounger or a Besterfield. But I think
Blounger.
but I think that there are some marvellous
Bloungers
things
is-
about this. First of all, I don't think people realise that there are so many bachelor flats, small rooms today, and you know, areas which might be studies if you had that extra possibility during the day and so on. So I can see that you have you applied yourself to an area that is worth applying yourself to. The others, Diana, are generally the larger format lounges or
Three-seaters
chest.
that
Yes, that's
pull
right,
out or-
which fold out, or ones which the back drops down, and they
Yes.
have to be 6 feet wide to do that.
Yes.
But this is really a two-seater, isn't it? It's a
Yes.
small.
Yeah, about 4'6" long as
right.
a sofa.
It looks comfortable, you know.
Well,
I
yes.
like
Now,
squashy arms.
I presume
also.
that the there's an extra little bit in there. I noticed on the film.
Yes.
You keep that underneath. do you?
Underneath,
And I
yes.
guess you keep the cushions and the bedding underneath.
Yes,
as well.
and the overlay.
So that's good,
Yeah.
I think. I don't know if I can ask you a technical question, Professor. I didn't see anything terribly technical there.
Well,
Puzzle bit.
it is, yes.
Eliminate the puzzle.
Putting the cushions in the right
Children will
position.
love it, won't they?
Points for and against. I think the points for are, Tom, that the beds that I've had to put together have usually given me some problems. For example, in a combi van, or when you pull something out, the back doesn't go around, and you have to bend over to push it down, and you hurt your back, and it collapses. Yes. So I certainly points for assembling it. I don't think there'll be any problems really in putting the cushions together. But I see that it isn't just a simple pull-out mechanism. It overlaps right around the whole perimeter except the front. So when you've got your sofa in one particular corner, in order to set it up for a bed, you have to pull it out from the wall and move it away, but not move it far enough so it comes in contact with another. There's
Yes,
a
yes. It's all on casters, of course.
three additional increases in length
Yes.
that, to me, may prove problematical, but I don't think too many points against.
Cost, please. Did you say?
Well, about 350 it's going to cost us. That's without the upholstery.
So you can then choose
And then you
what
choose
you
your
want.
upholstery.
That would
Which is a
include
nice
your
idea.
5-inch
Yes,
mattress,
yes.
but not the covering, which people could choose.
Yes, that's
Whatever.
right.
Anything.
Big
Loose
That sounds
covers.
good.
What sort of a market would you reckon there
Good.
might be for this?
Oh, I would imagine that there'd be probably several 100,000 households that
Yes.
would look at it seriously, because
Yeah.
that's not far out of line with an ordinary lounger's price.
But also think of the young people, too, who are going out on their first job and they have their first flat. They want something that is adaptable and can look nice and, as you say, put friends up on.
Yes.
So I
Vic
think
thinks you've got yourself a market, Tom.
Yes.
I sincerely hope you have.
Thank
and
you. Yes.
Good luck to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay. You know, Australia is a very inventive country. In fact, there are more patent applications lodged in Australia each year than in any other country. And so our last inventive man this evening comes from Brisbane. His invention is eligible for the William Adams Prize. This is a new method of riveting using solid rivets to join 2 or more pieces of material. This machine is air-driven. The rivets are placed into a feeder and the metal placed below. A press control positions the rivet over the job, and a second signal delivers it down, piercing the material, clinching it, and returning for the next cycle. The result is a fixing with a flush finish. Each rivet is forced down on this hardened tool, which splays it 3 ways. The shear strength is great because of the flared hole produced. This section can be built into various machines. In this case, the system is used to fasten rungs on ladders. It could be used in steel house frames, caravans, or grain silos. The ladder rung is positioned between the uprights. A hopper sorts the rivets and blows them into the tooling part of the press cycle. This method requires no pre-drilling or pre-aligning of holes. I'd like you to meet Ralph Fuhrmeister. And you were a toolmaker, or you're still a toolmaker?
Still a toolmaker.
My impression about this is, it looks simple once you've done it, but I'll bet you spent a lot of time, didn't you, working this one out?
About 4 years.
I thought so. Did it cost a great deal to develop it to this stage?
With patent costs, a great amount of money.
Yes, I thought it might too. It's enough to put you right off being an inventor, really, isn't it? But anyway, it's a very riveting system, I must say. Neville, what about your comments?
Indeed. Well, I see a number of advantages here, and I guess the crux of the machine is this small tooled item that fits under the specimen that's to be riveted. The rivet is pressured through the 2 pieces of metal to be riveted, and as we've been told, there's a flush finish, and we can see the flush finish there. I would imagine if these surfaces had been coated with something, the coating wouldn't have been damaged at all by the rivet being pressed through. It's pressed through under hydraulic pressure or by air pressure. Then as the rivet emerges from its new position, it meets this little job, and it's split actually into 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. And also it is very cunningly devised so that the metal itself, as it's pushed through, and that is the metal of the pieces that are being joined, is also formed by a small recess in the top of the tool there. And the result is that we have a splayed rivet on this side here, together with a nice looking piece of protruded metal, which all fits together to give a very solid joint with a very high shear stress, I would think.
Yes, but why do you need to split them?
Well, otherwise they'd come out again, I should think.
Well, all right then. You've done a new device, Ralph. What do they do now? What did they do? When I think of rivets, I think of aeroplane wings and a mass of rivets.
They're currently welding
Welding, yes.
and pop riveting.
Well, what does this do? What does this save? Time,
It
cost,
saves
energy?
on time, and the fastener is extremely cheap, and it's unskilled labour to assemble it.
Where are they used?
We hope they'll be used in steel house frames.
Steel. Oh, yes, I saw one in Tamworth the other day. Yes.
And possibly all sorts of assembly techniques for household appliances.
Ah. Well, will they, like our split nuts that won our last invention of the year, give you more strength and security?
We hope they do, yes.
Better than the existing ones?
Yes.
There you are.
Well, I saw this at an international engineering exhibition in Melbourne last year. I think it was the first time you
Yes?
put it on. Yes. I thought it should go on the Inventors. I'm pleased to see you did think about it. I've never seen anything quite like this, and I presume you have managed to patent it.
Yes, we've patented it in about 13 countries.
Now, I presume that a number of people saw this at that exhibition. Have you had inquiries from various companies, and are you, in fact, deriving some interest from production engineers and factories and so on?
Yes, we have many companies come to us, and we made a machine for an appliance manufacturer who was mounting a motor base.
They're putting the motor base into a machine
Yes.
on a production line.
Right.
Would you be able to apply this in a multiple situation where you could put numbers of rivets in at once on a production line?
In our own ladder, we're producing 8 rivets at one time into one run
Right.
in approximately 3 seconds.
And you mentioned an advantage in terms of cost. Could you give me any idea of the difference between this, say, and a pop rivet situation?
That rivet costs approximately 6 cents to 9 cents a thousand, which is much less than any other fastener on the market.
Fascinated to see this piece of engineering idea come from Queensland. It's a very interesting one.
Yeah, I think it's a beauty.
Complete riveting process in one stroke.
There you are.
Oh.
Ralph, it looks to me as though you're pretty much geared to go ahead, are you? Have you got to that stage yet?
We have produced a few small
Sort of test
machines,
runs,
but the mass-produced machine we haven't investigated yet.
So will you need help in this area, do you think?
We wouldn't knock it back.
Good luck to you. I think you're onto a winner there. Anyway, congratulations. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Before I ask our panel to vote on tonight's winner, perhaps we should recap on what we have seen. First of all, Eric Webb's boat loader from Sydney, Stuart Nevitt's trailer lock from Melbourne, Tom Pringle's Bofa sofa from Melbourne, and Ralph Fuhrmeister's riveter from Brisbane. All right, Vic, nobody can accuse me of saying that you're going to get last crack of the whip, first crack of the whip.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm interested because there are a couple of true inventions here tonight, I think. I think the boat loader is a unique idea, and I haven't seen this anywhere. And there are millions of people, I think, who would be very interested in that if they had a car rather than a wagon. I'm fascinated by this rivet concept because it, to me, is unique also. And I'm pleased to say both of them have international situations. So I'm rather torn. I see an immediate market for the boat loader. I see this as a long-term market, and because it's from such an unusual place and because it is so interesting to me, I'm going to give it to the pop riveter.
All right. I thought for a minute you were going to have 6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
I've done that once.
Yes, I know you have. Diana.
Oh, me? Well, I'm absolutely torn apart too. We're having a great tearing night, aren't we? I think they're all super inventions tonight, and I'm exactly in agreement with my chum here on the right. I do think the boat loader is unique. I'm just looking down the list. The trailer lock was certainly very new. The sofa is ingenious for small apartments and so on, and the riveting system. But I have to agree. I go for this riveting system, which is stronger and safer and all those good things.
All right, fine. Neville, I mean, you can't really change the verdict, but at any rate,
You can have a go.
Well, I guess I've been outvoted. But I really am very partial to the boat loader.
Yes.
I think there are so many problems with boat trailers, unsatisfactory axle bearings, spills on the road, that the opportunity to get a boat out of the water by oneself, have it in a safe position on the back of the boat, of the car, really appeals to me.
Yes,
and,
it is a good one.
So I'm going to go for the boat loader.
All right, but just the same, even though you do, Ralph Fuhrmeister is tonight's winner with his riveting system. He comes from Queensland, and from us you receive this, a heritage capsule. We'll also give you this and a photograph of Will to start off your collection about the beginning of your invention. Who knows, maybe 150 years' time, somebody might open that and say, oh, he invented that, did he? There you are. Anyway, from us, congratulations. To all of you, well, good night.